All right, this is very exciting. It is
So fun.
Wednesday, and I am here with View Legend. She's on the Mount Rushmore. Elisabeth Hasselbeck
That's
is
a
here.
funny thing to think about. Thank you for having me.
That's something I've been saying a lot about, actually. Let's start with that because it's controversial.
Just made me laugh.
It's controversial, but who is your view Mount Rushmore? There's 4 heads.
Oh,
I mean, you would know better
Barbara.
than most. Agreed.
Meredith,
So that's controversial, but I don't disagree.
Whoopi.
Of course.
Oh, Joy.
I think so. For me, Whoopi, Joy, Barbara are the locks.
Whoopi, Joy, Barbara are.
Yeah. And then that 4th one, there's a lot of debating about it. There's definitely a Meredith contingent for sure.
Mm-hmm.
There's a you contingent because I think there's a feeling like you have to have a Republican voice on the 4.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
even though that changed as the show kind of moved on. I've heard from people that think Sherry Shepherd should be up there.
What
I've
about
heard.
all?
I mean, you only have 4 heads. That's the problem. I mean, you're married to a quarterback. You understand. He'll ask him who this is a sports thing. Who are the Mount Rushmore people?
Like the roster's the roster.
The roster's
the
the
roster
roster.
size,
Yep.
the roster size.
There are people who say Rosie. There's a lot of different things, even though she's only
Right.
here 2 seasons. It's a lot of different people out there. But I think there's a big argument, and I've seen this from a lot of people, that you make the cut.
Maybe the 4th is like continuing art.
Like,
You know,
okay, I see what you're saying. Yes,
It gets resculpted over time.
it could for sure. Well, let's start.
I'd give
then.
my seat up though.
Yeah. All right, so you give Meredith, Barbara, Joy, Whoopi.
Yeah.
All right, that's a good one. How's the week been going for you so far?
It's been surprisingly really fun.
Were you nervous coming in?
I think I felt
Because it's been a long time. You've been here, but it's been a long time since you've done the job as a guest
Yeah.
host for multiple days.
correct. Like I'd come in for one day, in and out, and
Mm-hmm.
get it done. Everyone was like, "Are you going on Survivor 50?" I'm like, "No, I'm going back to the View for a week. That is way more intense." But there's snacks and
Yes.
some friends, so it's actually better.
Mm-hmm.
I think in my head, I could probably have made it like something it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not actually like departing for war.
No.
Even though we're in one.
Yeah.
But I'm, it's here and this is family. So I think what I was reminded of, and it's important too, because I think what you anticipate, you can fear.
Right.
And I didn't have fear, but I definitely felt responsibility to be, kind of step out of my sourdough making self and step more into what was going on in the world.
Right. You have to dive back in a way you haven't in a while.
Dive back in, because the responsibility of knowing it is one thing. The responsibility of listening to it as a citizen is another thing. But the main thing when you're here is communicating it properly, because the repercussions are great.
Yeah. So that's funny. I never worked with you long term before. I'm enjoying it very much this week. But I have had other people that were in what really is your chair on the show over the years. And that's what you just said is something that's been said to me over and over by whoever's filling that seat. They feel a responsibility because they often have the minority view with politics, with other things at the table, and that they feel like they're not just speaking for themselves, but they're speaking for people that share their viewpoint, their backgrounds in different ways. And that there's a weight to that. Did you always feel that? Was that something when you were here, or is that something?
When you're in your 20 or 30s, you're just sort of like, let's go,
Yeah.
to say it now, like, bruh, like, let's go, bro. But I think I had more like gumption and battle in me then. Whereas you get a little older.
I mean, I saw you today. You had some gumption.
It's
not gone.
still in there. It's still in there. I'm very passionate,
Right.
And I think that we all have the things that sort of our inner constitution is based on, and I think you can incorrectly format what your opinion is based on what you think is right. And I think the constant challenge to all of us is to be like, what is right? Mm-hmm. And not forfeit a chance to be friends with someone or be human with someone. Just be human. Like, these are my friends. These are women that I'd like to be friends with. Sunny and I, actually, it's so funny coming in here. Anyone on the one side of politics
Sure.
is like, be careful of Sunny. And I'm like, I think she's great. Like, Sunny and I have actually developed a friendship this week that
I almost wish the camera was rolling on the commercial breaks, because I feel like when we go to commercial, you guys are having the ball out there. Yeah.
we've connected so much. We actually have like some similarities. And this is what it takes when you're not human first, when you're not willing to have connection and you just want to like live in correction phase. You miss out on like what God has for you. Like, God has these women as like companions and friends and coworkers this week that like, I love getting to know more about them. I love learning more about Anna. I love learning about how Sarah does her day. And even listening to the podcast the other day, like, how she handles arguing with her husband. I feel so much closer to Joy, even though we've been apart for so many years. She feels like family to me, but even seeing her this week has felt so sweet. Whoopi, man, I love her so much. If I could spend more time with her, I would, because I just think she gets people more than most people get people.
She's got insights that are just so incredible to me always. She really does. You're 100% right. She reads people and situations and goes right to their heart every time. You actually started the week by talking about your relationship with Whoopi. And what has kept you close all these years?
I think, communication, open communication. Whoopi and I started very open in our communication. It wasn't the best first day for either one of us long ago. But I think it's because we're both very real, and we'd rather deal with something that's hard in front of us than deal with something that's like presumed on the side. Like, we're very just clear people.
Right.
And so, and we became really good friends throughout the show. She's so loving to my family. I have seen her in enough situations to know that she sees the heart of a person and wants good. And her opinions on an issue will never stop me from holding her hand. And I hope never stop her from holding mine, because I say, like, our issues here and each other's hands in the other.
Sure.
And that's just more fun. But she, like, when a big issue comes up, like back in 2020, there were riots, so much was going on. And she's always the first person I'll call in that situation to hear her voice, hear her heart, really. And then I'll actually, like, put her on speakerphone, and I've always let our kids hear her talk about the hardest of subjects, because I don't want, and Tim is the same way, we don't want to raise our kids thinking myopically.
Right. You want to be in a bubble.
We're relational. So, like, how does this affect my friend? You can't come on so strong on an issue when you have a friend that's maybe dealing with it and feeling how it affects them differently. So I think it's kept us close. It's kept us real. It's kept us tight. And we have a trust with one another that, like, we might disagree at the table or say, no, that's not true, or whatever. But I just love her. I love her. I love how she loves me. I love how she's loved my family. And I hold such admiration for her to be willing to put herself out there in a way, given all that she's already accomplished in life.
Right.
Like, someone could say, I've got too much to lose.
100%. No, and she never stops from telling her truth, always.
She's bold.
Yeah, she is. I can see what you have that in
Mount
common.
Rushmore material right there.
Absolutely.
Number one.
Absolutely. It's funny. Lisa Ling was here a year or two ago, and we were talking about what the show started as and what it's turned into and how she's fit into it over the years. And she said that the hardest thing she thinks, now Debbie Matenopoulos had that seat in the beginning where she was the young one on the show. And then Lisa was her replacement as the young one. And then you replaced Lisa still as the young one.
Yes.
But then it also did become both the young one and the different one, often the Republican, the conservative seat.
The other.
And since that time, it's almost like you're carrying two burdens when you're here on the show, because generationally you're different than some of the voices, and then politically different. And as the show's become more political, Lisa was saying it's almost unfair because you have someone who's arguing politics and they're 35 years old and they're arguing with people that live a whole different life, have different perspectives, and have a loud voice, and it's a tough thing. Do you ever think about what your legacy of this show is?
No, I mean, it's funny when you say that. I guess I never thought of it as like 4 versus 1 or 5 versus 1.
It isn't always, and I just think that's how it's painted.
Yeah, sometimes it's painted that way. And sometimes, I guess, looking back on it is that way. But I think for me going into it, it's just, it doesn't matter if it's 100 to 7. I'm not a scorekeeper that way. I'll even leave like football games, and in the moment I know the score, but I know that there's like a defeat or a loss about to happen. But like once we leave, I don't know the score of any game. I'm just not that person, because I'm like, that was fun or that was exciting. I'm more of a feels. I think I definitely right now, I think my goal in life is just to be truthful and feel like, Brian, I can walk out of that show being like, all right, God smiled on that. You were honest, but not without love. You were truthful with heart. You kind of set out forth with the mission. Like for me this week, my personal mission was to not just have moments, because I think you can come here and use television or media or a podcast or radio to create a moment and manufacture something that's going to live in this cyber world for I don't know how long, but really kind of like a flash. Or you can have mission. And my mission is like, come here, connect, have fun, like be a loving human to the best of my capability, but mostly by the grace of God in the midst of debate. And then leave feeling like, yeah, that's my family. It feels like a family visit.
That's great. I mean, it's funny because you talk about that. And what I've learned doing this is, And when I first started here, I've been here 10 years now. And when I first started, I did think like, you got to make a moment happen. You got to do something. And that is so far from the top of my mind ever, because as you know, moments will happen. You just got to go through things honestly, do the show, and let people, if you have an agenda, if you make something happen, it doesn't feel real, it falls flat. And so really just being honest in those moments is what works. You mentioned Sunny. You had an exchange on Monday with her where, and of course it became a moment, but I don't think either of you intended for it to, where she mentioned offhand, like, I would never vote for Trump. I know you did. And then the audience like oohed. Like it was, or
really?
gas. Yeah, it was like like it was a big shock. And of course you're like, yeah, no, of course. I mean, this is not a hidden thing. You're a Trump supporter. And the headlines were crazy. And I know you don't read them all, but it was Elisabeth claps back, audience gasps, things like that.
Funny.
For you in that moment, did that feel dramatic to you at the time, or was that anything?
No, it felt fun. I think you know what's interesting, and I think you do, having been here and seen you work so wonderfully well. I feel like one of the greatest things is like it doesn't feel manipulated. It doesn't feel like, okay, we have to do something. Like you really just in your expertise in production, see like just be you, guide the show, and like everything kind of happens because all the thinking happens before the show with like topics and deciding and like how are we going to get to this place and what's relevant. And I really love how the show is run right now. It has like a freshness to it and like an authenticity to it, and without the spirit of like contention.
Oh, thank you. That's
and I
great
think like there's contention, but it's like there's also, with women at a table talking, it always made me laugh, because I'm like, with guys, it's like they had a great debate.
Yeah.
When you put women there, it's like they fought, they pulled each other's hair, they're slashing each other with their
chaos
nails.
at the view.
Chaos at the view.
Yeah.
No, that actually I felt alive.
Oh, that's great.
I felt. Yeah, like let's go. And I think Sunny feels the same way, because in between breaks, I'm like, well, that was cool. Like that was all right. Let's go. And I love debating someone who comes prepared,
right?
Who's skilled, who actually has a point of view that they believe in deeply with passion, and then it comes to kind of like, let's take it another round. Like it's fun.
Yeah, I think so too. And again, I think the best thing, and Sunny was saying this in the break, what she enjoyed about working with you, is you can give a punch, you can take a punch, and it's not, you're not walking off the stage on the commercial break and crying. I mean, or angry or anything like that. So it's good. It's good. All right, let's go back first. Well, we're going to go about your 10 years as co-host, but I first want to talk Survivor a little bit.
Okay.
So you're on Survivor. Did you ever for a minute think that it would lead to something like The View?
No, but it provided great training ground.
Oh, my goodness, yeah. I mean, if you can do that.
What better preparation than 39 out of 41 days in the Australian outback with 9 out of the 10 deadliest snakes than for the prep that you'll need to get at the table of The View and debate hot topics every day for 10 years. I think Survivor did me well for that. At the time, no. I was literally just trying to figure out what I was made of.
Right.
See if I could do it, seek adventure, and pay down my college debt.
And when you came off of it, do you remember the first time you heard about the possibility of doing The View?
Yes, distinctly so. Well, after Survivor, and we crossed paths.
At Letterman.
Letterman. And I remember I was wearing this like long zip up outfit. It cost like $9. And I was so excited. I started jumping. I think I remember like being so excited to be invited. And it was freezing in that studio. I mean, I was so cold. But he was so generous to have us on. And I just couldn't, it was all very out of body right after Survivor to just even think about that life. Here I was, a shoe designer. I was an industrial designer making shoes for Puma. And then all of a sudden I don't think I realized that was TV.
Right.
I thought it was more similar to when in college I went and taught in Belize for some time. I kind of had those two at the same precious spot in my heart, to the point where I didn't even want to watch the show when I came back. I thought, well, wait, everyone's going to see this? I thought this was an experience.
So you didn't know you'd come out of this being famous. You didn't know you'd come out of this being...
No.
Yeah.
No.
And you were not prepared for that.
Was not prepared. But I remember I worked for E-Network shortly thereafter. I didn't think I would take that job. I was going to go back. I was designing like toothbrushes over with my old mentor from Reebok at the time. And shoe design's a little hard to like jump back into. So I was just trying to pick up some work. And I got a call and a letter came through, and it said, E-Networks, we have this show called The Look for Less. We'd love to fly you out for an audition, an interview. And I went out there really just because I had never taken a flight that nice. And they were going to like buy one meal and interview me for a job. But they asked me, this is funny, they asked me to bring my portfolio and my book. So I brought Letters to Clementine, Winston Churchill's book, back and forth to his love during the war, and my portfolio of drawings. But they meant like a...
Yeah, like your looks and stuff, right?
My photos of me. And I was like, I don't have that. I don't have this. And they like laughed at me. I remember sitting there and like being like, oh, I clearly don't belong here. They're like, well, why don't you just tell us about your outfit? I'm like, well, this is $9.99 and this is $2.
And then you got it.
So I got that job. Well, I'm on a treadmill between, I think, days of work out in LA, and I would watch The View all the time. So usually if I had like a taping day out there, it would be like 1 p.m. or something. And I took that job because it paid 3 times the amount I was making designing shoes.
Sure.
And I was like, gosh, this is an opportunity. It's nothing I know how to do, but I'm not afraid to learn new things. So I end up taking the job with E-Networks. I remember my salary. I was like, I can't believe I could make this much money, which was really nothing still, but I was excited. And so I was just still trying to pay down debt, and we'll seek job to pay down debt. And then I was on a treadmill at the gym, yelling at the screen of The View. And later that day, I got 2 calls, one from a family member and one from my representative at the time, saying, hey, do you know The View is looking for someone? They're looking to fill their seat. And I was like, wait, I like talk back to them every day on the treadmill. And they're like, you should go. You should go try out. So I tried out. And I remember Barbara calling me and telling me and like jumping on the bed being like, what? I just got this? Like, I just came for fun. Like, I'm just like, let me try. I'll try out for anything. I was a walk-on softball player at Boston College. Like, if there's a team, I'm trying out. And then I'm hoping to make it, but I kind of like the experience of trying even more. So it was so exciting. And then all of a sudden, 3 kids later, 10 years later.
Unbelievable.
This was like such a solid part of my life to be here.
Is it what people mostly talk to you about when, like, a fan or something else? Is it Survivor or The View when people run into you?
Both, equal.
Yeah.
Equal.
And Fox, too. You were
if
there
I have some lashes on and lip gloss, they're like, oh, The View.
Yeah.
If I'm looking a little like crazy and tired, they're like, how's Survivor?
Well, because after all these years, it's Survivor 50 now, and you really are one of the iconic people from Survivor. You were America's sweetheart that year. There's no question. So have they ever asked you to come back?
They have.
And you ever considered? Did you ever come close?
Solid no.
Solid no the whole time?
Every single time.
Really? Mm-hmm. And even, did they ask you for 50?
I think it was maybe there was an indirect ask. Mm-hmm. But that was, I think they had known. I had trained them to know, like, listen.
It's not going to happen.
No. I don't think I could leave the kids.
Right.
I barely want to miss a game today that I know
it's just not enticing to put yourself through that again. I understand.
No,
you're not going to skin a pig again or any of those things.
No, I cannot. I literally went in with 2 skills: tying knots. I learned I had nothing. Like, I didn't camp. I didn't know anything. I was like on the plane ride to Survivor. I sat there on that plane from the United States to Australia and took out my shoelaces and practiced tying knots. I had a book. So I learned how to fish from a book.
It's unbelievable.
And tie knots, which was our structural support. I'm like, well, we could waste all of our line, or I'm a knot specialist. They kept me around for 3 days.
We did a week of shows at Bahar in the Bahamas, and Joy almost didn't survive. So I can't imagine. Honestly, the level of...
was it too hot? Too many bugs?
Too hot, too many bugs, too many people. I'm working you too... I'm working her too late. Yeah.
I love Joy's fake complaining.
Oh, my God.
She loves it.
I think she loves it,
She loves it.
I think she loves it, too. All right. Well, let's go back to your 10 years of co-hosting here. What are some of your fondest memories of that time?
Oh, gosh.
The staff has nothing but wonderful things to say about you, I have to say. To this day, I came when your first day here this week, there was a line outside your door of people coming to see you.
What a joy. I was so equally excited to come back and see everybody. And thank you for the invitation.
Oh, of course.
I think being able to return to something well, I wrote about it actually in my book, Point of View. Leaving well means you can return better and return well. And so I have felt that welcome every time I've come. But to come for a week, I thought, I could really settle in.
It's nice. It's different than just it's very hard to just pop into this table and to do this. It takes a couple of days for anybody under the best of circumstances. But for someone like you, you certainly deserve to have as long a tenure as you want. And
your staff is amazing. This production staff, down to the tech, sound, camera. It's really security team. Like, this is a place of greatness, and it's not easy to do this show well, because of you're talking about the hardest things all the time, and then you have to come back and do it again. So I think to create an environment where everyone feels valued and loves coming to the office and loves working and is still here says a lot.
Well, I'm riding on my team's coattails, to be honest with you. They're fantastic, and I feel very lucky. But they, again, like I said, they have lovely memories of you being here. What? How is it different? What do you remember about those days?
I remember, I mean, gosh, Brian, we had our 3 children here. So I just remember being pregnant a lot.
Yeah.
Joy was always the first one to know when I was pregnant.
She could still do that.
She's like, your cheeks are getting fat. Hilarious. So just having the babies here, trying to, feed them in the back or breastfeed or pump, and then really coming in young as a young Republican at the table. I mean, this was, George W. Bush.
Right. And this was really when the View changed in a lot of ways. I mean, the View was always not dancing around politics. Politics were present. I mean, in the early days with Monica and Bill and things like that. But it was really the Bush years where it became more something akin to what we're doing now.
Yeah. So I think there were intense moments. Not always, they were just, but I love that we covered everything.
Yeah.
Like, it's the funny thing was we'd be talking about, the terrorist attacks and then go right to and the new pantyhose that are out, but we could do it all. And so I think that's a special thing about this program is that women want to be informed and they want to participate. It's not just like your general news feed. It's like you feel like you're in the conversation. So before, when I was watching it, or now when I see it, I feel like I'm still in the conversation.
Absolutely.
And then when you're, then you're also able to leave with some cool information about either a product or a news story or a social media story that's out there. So I think there's a great participation level from the viewers at home that they love. And for me, I mean, I remember coming in, I'd walk into work, we'd have this crazy room of Hot Topics talk. And unfortunately, a lot of it was lost in that room. Yeah. And the relationships that, occurred in that room, I think now we get to see on air, it seems, with everyone. Yeah. Gosh, I remember sometimes there were some pre and post show moments that weren't fun.
Sure. That still happens.
Yeah. But I mean, when I see Joy, we just look at each other and laugh and smile. Even Sunny, she's been here 10 years.
Same as you. Yeah.
Which we kind of have a 10-year club. I'm like, we need a pin. I feel like we need a pin.
I think so. There should be jackets made. I think that's
like a varsity
100%.
jacket. I feel like we need View varsity jackets.
I think so.
And we would get the pin on the jacket. Joy would get extra.
Yes.
Whoopie. Extra, just she Whoopi.
Yeah. Whoopie's the longest moderator.
She's the longest. So she would have a moderator. Yep. She would have the prompter pin, because that's the moderation. I feel like Joy would get a mic. I don't know what Sunny and I would get for 10 years.
Something good.
Next.
Well, I'll get to work on this.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think we need varsity jackets for the View. Anna will have one.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I think so. No, I mean, I will say, it's a club that nobody who has had your jobs, myself included, understand exactly what that's like. I don't think it's possible for someone to understand what it means to be a host on The View for a long period of time, to be in the public eye, talking about what's going on in the world every single day. As Joy always says, the moment you open your mouth, you're making half the country annoyed at you.
Yes.
And I think it's something that only, no matter what side of the aisle you're on or what you're talking about, that only people who have done it really understand what that is.
Yeah. Sarah and I were talking, just about raising kids and having this work.
I can't imagine.
We would have the diaper pin maybe, or something else.
Yeah,
or school books.
Kids.
We have homework pencils. But I think what's so cool is when I see her, I hold such respect for her being in that pocket of time with young children, because you do want to have that reserve tank of energy to return home with them. But I will say, I've always said it, this is the best career position for a working mom, because you can get the kids to school. You do your work, you do it fully, you pick them up after school, you go home, you can be with your family. It is and you also feel this is the best of, I think, being an intellectual, engaged citizen as a mom, because a lot of moms sometimes you crave interaction to be I want to talk to somebody about this news story, and you're just trying to get through the day with
no, of course,
babies at home and kids. And I think it's so relatable to be able to look at her and say yeah, she's doing this. And then I actually interacted with someone who's in my same spot in life. I'm about to launch kids in college. I have one there now and 2 more down the road. Sunny and I were talking about what that's like. It's so neat to be able to connect with other women about world issues, about being a wife, about being a mom, about trying to get it all done. I just think there's something so special that I think walking through those years in the past at The View that I got to experience, that when I look at the women now, I just am Yeah, I get it. I get what your week is like. I
Yeah.
get the excellence that you come to the table with. I have so much respect for them. And it's fun.
So next year is, we talked about Survivor 50. Next year is View 30, which is crazy.
Is it
It's
really?
the 30th anniversary of The View.
What are you going
If
to
you
do?
can believe that. Well, we're talking about that now. We're having lots of discussions, and we have ideas about hosts coming back and doing things, and a whole lot of ideas. One of the things we talked about was isolating and figuring out the 30 greatest moments in View history, what the big ones are.
Okay.
I think you'll feature in a couple of those.
Okay, which ones?
What
comes to mind,
Let's start with one. You were one of the you were the part of the team, the first time a sitting president ever came on a daytime talk show, and you interviewed Barack Obama. What do you remember about that? That must have been pretty exciting because it never happened before.
So exciting.
It's common now almost, but yeah.
Right. That was a big deal. It was a post tape because security had to come and sweep the building. My parents came in town. They thought it was like historic.
Yeah.
I don't know that I knew it was, but I was still a little young. I was still figuring it out.
You were being a Republican still. And,
I was
and,
like,
yeah,
I have a lot of responsibility here
Uh-huh.
because no one's going to ask the question that I'm going to want to ask. And I remember the day vividly. I remember trying to make sure my parents got in town okay, that they were set for like a picture at some point. That was my main goal, to get my parents a picture. Like so they could like feel they love history. They thought that was like historic and important. And I remember feeling, I think one of the kids was up sick the night before. You know, I'm still trying to do the mom things at nighttime. I remember Tim saying like, you're going to be great. I remember feeling on that day the weight of, I think on that day I felt the weight of the Republican Party on my shoulders. We did the live show. Secret Service arrives and they said, you can come back to your room after to get ready. Well, I usually went for a run right after the show, 6 miles in Central Park. It was kind of my daily thing. And I needed to like flush out some nerves. So they said, you can leave everything here. And there was something in me that was like, I might not get back in this room. I think they're going to like special sweep my room and take my notes. And I didn't want anybody to know what I was going to ask them.
No, of course.
So I didn't tell them. So I took my blue cards with me and ran
With your
in
blue
a
cards.
Ziploc bag. With my Ziploc bag and blue cards of notes and questions for the president. And I ran around the block, ran around Central Park, ran, came back and like had to get changed like in a hallway because they didn't let me back in my office.
No, I mean, I think at that time especially, it was very rare. It was very rare because I was working at the Letterman show at that point, and I remember The View had the president first, and we had him a little bit later. And I remember it was a big deal when he came there too. Now we had President Biden on last year when he was still, or a year and a half ago when he was still in office. It's more common now, and I think Secret Service has gotten it down. But it was and it was people were saying like, why The View? Did you feel honored at least that this is where the president of the United States decided to go, regardless of political differences? That's pretty cool.
I was an honor.
Yeah.
And I think this is where some people can get it wrong. It's like, well, why would you sit there? Why didn't you take the day off? Why did you, now we're in a day where like, I don't show up if it's not my president. I'm like, this is our president.
Right.
This is history. And to have the opportunity on behalf of the American people, or at least half of the American people, literally on behalf of the American people, to ask a question that might be on the mind of a fellow American is so awesome. To me, I count it as joy. I count it as a blessing to be able to sit there and be in the presence of our president and have, I mean, how many times would someone, maybe even before it was even possible to see this happening on TV, want to ask the president a question? That is an honor. I remember sitting in like 3rd grade and wanting to like ask a president a question.
Yeah.
When we were studying.
No, it's
like,
unbelievable. Yeah, I remember that I've met a couple of presidents now, but every time I want to pinch myself. It's just, I can't believe this is happening.
And think about the amount of decisions, and we're hard on our presidents.
Sure.
The amount of decisions they have to make in one day, we probably won't ever have to touch in the duration of our lives.
Speak for yourself. The View's hard. No,
well,
just
The View,
kidding.
listen, I do. I have hit decision fatigue after the shows.
Absolutely.
Someone's like, what do you want to eat? I'm like, I don't know. I don't have a position on that.
All right. So 30 top moments. Other ones, I mean, you got, you were curled by LL Cool J. I mean, that's up there for sure.
Yes.
And I think you probably can guess what number one is probably going to be. The thing you mentioned about more often than anything else is the split screen day, of course. Did you, I won't make you relitigate it, of course, but I have to ask, does the fact that that moment has lived on the way it has surprise you, shock you? Is that something that you ever imagined that people would still be talking about 20 years later?
Yeah, I mean.
Or 10 years later?
It's wild that split screen moment, I think, was it determined something.
Yeah.
You know, it determined who was coming back. It was
Yeah.
a stressful day.
Yeah.
It's not a day that I love.
Yeah.
It's a significant day because I can look back at it now with maturity and think my position would be the same.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe tried to be a little bit more physically calm, but I don't know. I was so passionate about the issue for me. I think that I'm proud to have spoken on behalf of the military, and I'm proud that this is a program that allowed even that passion to be shared. It's ugly. It's not a fun thing to look at.
No, it is iconic, I have to say. And again, it's funny because
it's why I got hired at Fox.
Oh,
actually.
there you go. So something good.
Roger
came
Ailes
for you.
was like, I saw that. You're hired. Just so.
Yeah, I didn't work here then. So it's always funny when you're not working somewhere and you see moments like that. You're like, wow, that's great television. They must be having a great day over there. And then when you're actually behind the camera and you're working here, the great days for other people aren't necessarily the great days for you.
No, it's hard. I mean, I probably cried through the rest of the day. And then also, like, on a human level, I felt so sad. I felt sad that, like, two people who up until that point kind of had a decent friendship, it makes me sad now. Like, I feel like it created this, like, awful human rift, and I'm not sure it's ever worth it.
Yeah.
For that. So I do think we're created for unity.
Yeah.
I don't think we're created to have discord.
I think that's right.
Dissension. I think we're meant to just have unity and connection. And even if I can't see like you see, I like to see where you see it from. Like, I love to get someone's point of view on something and, like, have, like, love anyway in that. And so I hope so. I really do.
Before we go, you learned how to do this job from Barbara Walters and Bill Getty.
Yes.
They created this show together. Unfortunately, both are gone. What were the most important things you learned from Barbara and Bill?
Oh, gosh. You know, Bill was a great champion of having a voice. And so I remember he would come down to the office every day and, like, just make sure that I was, like, checked and ready to go. And I always felt like I had his actual real support in taking any position. And there was so much that went on before the show that you were oftentimes going in after, like, already having huge debates.
Yeah.
So
that's the hard part. About those hot topics meetings.
Exactly. Yeah. So, like, that was, it was almost like, gosh, we just emptied the tank in there. And then I'm trying to gather myself together to get out. And by the way, like, one was up with the croup and I've got, like, I still have to pump. But I think, gosh, I was so grateful because I always felt like I had someone looking out after me in a way that was helpful and gave me confidence that I could continue to hold that position every day. I was never told what to say. I know that that's who would.
Yeah.
Like, I do believe what I say. I have made mistakes. There are things I look back and I'm like, oh, I didn't say that right, or I didn't mean that. I'm never meaning to hurt somebody.
Right.
With Barbara, gosh, 10 years to her right, literally, figuratively. I've wanted to write that article so long, like, to her right, because sitting there was so significant. And she was so hard on me in the way that I can recognize athletically that some of the best coaches are on the best players. And I would not be able to utter a word at that table, interview, be curious, be thorough, the way that I am today without having it set before me by her.
A definition of tough love from everyone I've spoken to.
Tough love, refining, like coming out like a pearl, coming out like a diamond, with so many facets because of her intentional pressing for greatness. I am indebted to her for just the ability to prepare along the way and make the questions better, make them more personal, know the person you're interviewing more than they might even think they know themselves. Having researched so deeply that you can be so present in an interview that you can then ask a follow-up and hear the heart of the person. When I would watch Barbara interview someone, it's like watching Michael Jordan.
Yeah, no one has done it better. It's like, unbelievable. Yeah.
It's like watching someone in the most epic place in their career do something perfectly. And she came to bat for me at times that I really needed her. If I was sick, she took care of me. If I passed out one time at someone's party, I was pregnant. This is so funny. Everyone reacted in their personalities. Meredith was like getting me food and water. Star was like calling some, like, I don't know, high speed transportation for me. Joy's like, you're fine. And Barbara's leaning over me like, darling, you can stay at my place.
Oh.
Like just so, and I was like, I can't, like, I'm fine. But just, she really stepped in moments where, at the time I didn't have maternity leave in my contract.
Oh, wow.
Barbara fought for it.
Mm-hmm.
If something big were happening in my life, she came to bat for us. And she made me better. And she made me great in ways that I might have just been good. And that's not because of anything I did. It's because I got to study from a master. People are like, did you go to broadcasting school? I'm like, I studied Barbara Walters for 10 years, right to her right. And yeah. I'm indebted to her.
Amazing page on her legacy, but that's great. And I've heard that from other of you hosts and Lisa and Debbie and everybody who's ever worked with her. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I really enjoyed this, Elisabeth. Her children's book, God's Masterpiece, is out now. Go get one. And she'll be back on The View tomorrow and Friday. And The Weekend View. So it's all Elisabeth all the time. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It has been truly fun.
Oh, that's great. We'll see you soon.